For the longest time, I thought vocalists were... Okay, I'm close. Vocals in electronic music can be a very useful tool, whether you're using them as leads with lyrics or whether you want to use them just as textures or soundscapes that blend in with your melodic properties. Both ways can be used so well, and I want to go into this a little bit today and show you how I use some of my own vocals. For the longest time, I thought that I could only get a vocalist to do vocals in my work. When I'm in the creative zone, I want to get to work. I want to exploit my creativity, and sometimes adding vocals in needed to be done right away. So I learned very slowly to use my vocals in my own tracks. What a concept, I know. Now, I don't have the greatest singing voice, by far. I don't claim to be a vocalist, but I started to try. And I think it's important with music to experiment and explore all the sounds that you can possibly find, your voice being a tool at your disposal. So I'm going to show you a technique that I started with so that I could get vocals in. If it didn't make the final cut, at least I had a place filler until I could get a proper vocalist to do the vocals for me. So let's look at some textural vocal techniques that you could maybe use in your own tracks. I have a track here I've already started. It's got some cool elements to it. It's got some melodic parts, but I want to give it some depth. So I've added some vocals in here that I've already recorded. Let's take a listen to them real quick. They're very basic. Ooh. And as you can tell, they're not perfect. Ooh. But we're going to work with them. And we're going to see if we can make it work in this track. First and foremost, one thing to be aware of is something called latency. Anytime you record from an external source, whether it's a microphone or a synthesizer, there is what's called latency, and it adds a little bit of a delay onto the beginning of recordings. Right here on the grid here, you can see there's a little bit of a space from where it should start. We're just going to correct that in Ableton very easily. We're just going to pull our start marker to the beginning of this clip. Right there. Ooh. Some DAWs are a little better with latency than others, but it's always easy to fix, so don't worry about it. Let's listen to what this sounds like with the track now. Okay, pretty well timed. It's okay. At least for the sake of this demo, this is just fine. One of the easiest ways to add some depth to your vocal is, of course, reverb. This is one of my favorite presets that I've used for a million years. It's got a really long decay time, and it's about 34% wet, which we're going to play with a little bit to get the effect that we want. It's ghostly. That's really what I'm going for. I want this to blend with the other effects and the synths that I have going on here. I'm also going to take a little bit of delay. Nice and easy. And before we get too far in, I'm going to just put a little bit of control on our EQ. Okay, remembering I don't want this to interfere with our bass or our kick or anything. And a male voice does have a lot of low end and mid range. So let's just take a little bell curve here and just take it out of the conflicting range, which is often around 100 to 150 hertz, even upwards of 200. Really, we're trying to just add texture to this vocal. Bit too much delay on that. Okay, it's cool. It adds a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to show you one very important technique that I've found really helped me over the years. Of course, from a microphone, this is a mono microphone, but I want to give it some depth. I want it to feel like sort of a chorus effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to offset these. Okay? This gives it the feeling like there's multiple voices running at the same time. I'm going to duplicate this again, and in this particular case, I'm going to move it the opposite way. Now, we've done this with other tutorials with percussion and melodies, but we've never done it with vocals before. And this can really give you a cool effect. If you take one and pan it to the right, and you take the other one and you pan it to the left, and the offset makes sure that those frequencies aren't interfering, there's no phasing issues, and it's going to start to give a cool effect. But there's not enough differences in them. So let's get crazy with this, okay? I have a plugin that I like in particular. It's called Portal. Really cool effects processor. I'm actually going to take my delays off of this one and the reverb off. And I'm just going to throw, I don't know. I'm just going to pick something here. What does this sound like? Okay, wispy. Nice. Okay, we're going to keep that. So what we've got here is our center vocal is going to be as clear and clean as possible. And the one pan to the right and offset is going to give kind of a weird effect. We're going to do the same thing on the left. We're going to turn our delays and our reverb off. We're going to add a portal. We're going to pick something different. Almost. There we go. Okay, so we have 3 different vocals with 3 different sounds to it. Let's listen to just the vocals now. Hear what we're doing there? Okay, it's adding a real different kind of texture and depth to those vocals. Now, the middle vocal, the center vocal, I want that to be more clean, and I don't want to be too distracting with the other one. So I'm going to take those two. I'm just going to turn them down, the affected vocals. I'm going to turn them down because I want the focus to be on the main vocal. I'll even turn it up a little bit. Subtlety is key in this case because I want them to hear the main lead. Okay, so we've got it. Let's hear what this sounds like with the whole track. Nice little tail on the left. This is an effect that you can use on any type of vocal. Even if you've got, a female vocalist doing lyrics, if you add this little offset with these different types of effects, you can get some really, really cool outcomes. Let's take this one step further. I'm going to take the one pan to the right. I'm going to duplicate that also. And I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to go in here and right within the sample control, I'm going to change this to complex. It's a nice little algorithm. And I'm going to transpose it up 12 steps. That moves it up 1 full octave. This is going to give it more texture and more flavor on this affected right channel. Let's listen to just the right channel. Hear what we're doing? And we can do that with the other side. And let's transpose this one down an octave. Now, this may work in this track like this, okay? It may not. But I want to give you tools. I want to give you ideas of how you can alter vocals so that they completely change. Let's listen to the left side now. Hear that low end just come in just out of nowhere? Just give it a little bit of a boost. I like that. I like it a lot. Now, let's listen to the whole thing at the same time. At this point, I'd probably group these channels together so I have a nice vocal group. That way I can just solo and monitor just that group and I hear just the vocals. I like it. It's cool, okay? I'll take it one step further. The high-pitched vocal, I'm going to do a little bit of automation on it, just for fun, just to show you some more potential. Because it's got this flutter, but I want it to go left and right. So what we can do is we can automate the panning. That way it carries back and forth. And you get another flavor of this wafty, high-pitched effect. Something like that. Now you're going to hear it going back and forth. Cool. Let's do the same thing with the low octave, but we're going to go opposite. So let's start low. I'm just going to follow the automation that we've got here. We're going to do the opposite thing so that they kind of crisscross. Something like that. Here's what it sounds like with just those two samples. The key here is subtlety in these effects. Again, the focus should be on the main vocal sound, but we're adding this texture and the depth. So if you're a little shy about your voice, as I was, I guarantee you, I had a hard time pushing record the first time I started recording my vocals, and I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat. But once you start doing it a couple times, and once you start really diving into the effects that are possible to mask your voice and actually turn it into more of a melodic synth or a sound that you can incorporate into your song, you're going to find yourself more comfortable over time. Just try it. Just try and see what happens. The benefit of this industry is that you're usually working alone, and you can push record as many times as you want. Try again. That one wasn't good. Try again. And you don't have to show anybody until you've got a result that you're actually happy with. I started doing this years ago, and I got to the point where I started writing lyrics and I started actually singing full leads in my tracks. And I'm so happy that I did that because some of those tracks needed it and they really took them up a notch. Let's hear what this sounds like with the full track. Now, this may not be the end result. I may not be totally happy with those vocals, but at least we're trying and we're experimenting, and I want to encourage you to do the same. Just try it. See what happens. You never know. Maybe you'll surprise yourself with your own voice. Regardless, these techniques can be used on any sound, whether it's your voice, somebody else's voice, or a melodic pad. I hope this helps you with your productions, and it'll take your music to the next level. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.